On today's episode of the Fumblerooski podcast, boy, did we have an amazing week 13. 8 upsets total. Sunday Night Football was a barn burner. Thanksgiving was full of barn burners. Black Friday was a barn burner. Not really, but either way, what a great week. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
Welcome to the Fumblerooski podcast by Parity 18 Radio and Secret Weapon Consulting. We got Justin Tucker, we got CJ Medeiros, we got myself, Chris Kostic, for this Tuesday episode. Week 13. Unbelievable. 8 upsets this week in general. Green Bay, Dallas, Cincinnati, all upsets on Thursday. Chicago upsetting the Eagles on the road. We'll start with that in a moment. But just looking at the rest here, Houston upsetting Indianapolis, the Jets upsetting the Falcons. Carolina, this was probably one of the bigger upsets, if not the biggest this weekend, getting the win against the Rams 31-28. And Sunday night, Washington almost upsetting the Broncos in overtime at home. A lot going on this week. We're going to go through some of these games. We're going to start with the Rooski game of the week, the Bears and the Eagles. Bears on Black Friday getting the win 24-15. Against the Eagles on the road as well. And it's another game where, never mind the Eagles not playing for, you could say a full half of football, a full 60 minutes of football. They just weren't very good all around in this game. AJ Brown, you got AJ Brown going. That was great. But the Bears manhandled. They outmanned the Eagles, which is pretty crazy to say, considering that that's the Eagles right there. That's Philadelphia Eagles football is manhandling, outmanning, big bully balling the other team. But they didn't do any of that. And the Bears rushed for 281 yards total. Kyle Monangai, 130 yards on 22 carries. DeAndre Swift, if you had him on your bench like I did, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you because I feel sorry for myself that I left him on the bench. 18 carries, 125 yards, and a touchdown. I know 5 other people had DeAndre Swift on their bench this week. Insane. And seems like Ben Johnson has found his Sonic and Knuckles type of duo again, like he had in Detroit. Monangai, he's a rookie. He's been really good. Passing wise, this was a very slow game, not a big passing game for Caleb Williams, 17 for 36, 154, interception and a touchdown. But like I said, big story in this one is really the Eagles and, again, their offense just not getting it going. This was in all intents and purposes, so they lose to the Cowboys, right? They blow the huge lead to the Cowboys. This was the bounce back game. Not a get right game, of course, because the Bears, we've seen what they can do. They've been able to pull out a lot of really good wins, but this should have been an Eagles win. And the spread for this game was Eagles by 7.5. So you would think that Eagles are 7.5 point favorites. You would think this is going to be Eagles are going to bounce back from that loss to the Cowboys and get the win. No, they didn't. Also, what did you guys think of, real quick, I get you guys' opinion. What was your guys' thoughts of Sirianni going for 2 when they made it 24-15? Because that ended up being the final score. What was you guys' opinions on that? Because I've seen a little bit of discourse in general, but
Who do you want to go first?
Tuck, you first. I don't really care. This is just quick.
Yeah. As far as going for 2, I don't see it too out of the ordinary for Nick Sirianni to try to go for 2. Was it necessary? Some will disagree, some will agree. It doesn't matter. If he wins the game, we're saying, "Oh my God, he's a genius for going for it." If he loses, like, why the hell did he go for two? So at the end of the day, I see why he went for two, but it is what it is.
CJ?
So obviously they didn't make it. But the thing is, and this is something that I've said before that a lot of people I just don't think agree with, is a decision is only as good as its outcome. The outcome determines whether or not it was a good decision, right? I don't care. And you hear it all the time on these games. You hear the announcers say, "Ooh, the analytics say this, the analytics say that." Man, fuck the analytics. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what the analytics say, what tradition says. It's only a good idea if it works. That's how it works. And it didn't work, so therefore it wasn't a good idea. But I understand, because if the 2-point conversion is successful, you make it a one-score game. And I think we would all rather have a one-score game than a two-score game. So I'm leaning toward agree.
Yeah, no, I would agree with it as well. Obviously it's a weird spot to be in. And you know, on the surface, it's like, why would you do that? Just make it an 8-point game. You're gonna have to go for two anyways. Anyways, thoughts of this game from you guys. CJ, we'll start with you.
First, I'll start with the Bears. This, once again, Caleb Williams was weird because the Bears won, but you see Caleb Williams on all their posts, and I would actually lean more towards he had a bad day more so than an day. Sub 50% completion percentage, a touchdown, a pick, 154 yards, didn't even average 10 yards a throw. Passer rating of 56.9. Caleb Williams, I'll give him credit where it's due. I think you can win with him. He still, I think, has a little more to prove that he's a quarterback you can win because of, but he's definitely a quarterback you can win with. And I know that's still the Eagles' defense, but completing below 50% of your passes, that is diabolical. But I think he has what it takes to be a quarterback you can win because of. I just don't think he's there yet. Make no mistake, I think Ben Johnson is the engine for this. It's not Williams. It's not the run game. It's not even the defense. It is Ben Johnson. What a turnaround that a head coach can make. Oh my God. They finally figured out head coaching and they're winning games. They're 9-3. They've gotten, at least according to the NFL playoff picture, an over 75% shot to make the playoffs. They're currently the 1 seed. And on top of that, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift putting belt to ass on that Eagles run defense, over 250 yards on the day, averaging over 5 yards a carry. Monangai averaging 5.9, Swift averaging 6.9, each scoring a touchdown. Yeah. Good win for the Bears. They're in very extremely rare territory where they are leading the NFC North. And, you can't relax too much, because Green Bay is breathing down your neck right now. So, yeah, obviously, you're going to want to do that. And also, well, Caleb Williams, I still think has a few question marks in his game. I think it's enough to the point where the Bears are definitely a force to be reckoned with. They're not, I wouldn't describe them as necessarily a fraudulent team. As for Philly, Nick Sirianni, you're about to get the Doug Peterson experience, buddy, I'm afraid. You see, Philly sports media is goddamn vicious. And I still have a lot of friends who live in that area and family, and they listen to the Philly radio, and they tell me that they want Sirianni and Pachulo hung up by their boxer briefs and flung across the city. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't play that bad. 1934, 230 yards, a touchdown, or 2 touchdowns, and a pick. 84.2% passer rating. It's not bad, but The offense has too much firepower to be this weak and inconsistent. You have Jalen Hurts, who, while people think he's overrated, he's still on the top half of quarterbacks in the league. He's definitely like top 10. Where he is, we can debate, but he's still top 10, I think. You have Saquon Barkley. You have Devontae Smith. You have A.J. Brown. You have Dallas Goedert. And you've got, I mean, the line's banged up, but it's still a solid line. Why are you this bad? I'll tell you why. It's Kevin Petula, or Petula, or how it's pronounced. And one thing I'll say is Sirianni, I think, has to swallow his pride. He's got to put his ego aside, because I know he and Petula, I believe, are friends off the field. This is more of a nepotism hire, but Petula was assigned as OC. But unfortunately, he's got to go. Like, as Sirianni, you got to put the team first and say, hey, man, I love you, but you're out. And he keeps saying after every loss, at least when it comes to the offseason, it's like, no, we will not be making any changes at coordinator this offseason. It's like, well, you should. And this is something that I noticed, that when Philly loses a coordinator, they have a really difficult time replacing them. Have you noticed that? Remember when they went to the Super Bowl the first time and lost to the Chiefs, and they lost Steichen and Gannon, and how they were rudderless until they brought in Fangio and Moore? I'm just saying that seems to be a trend. And hell, after they won their 2017 Super Bowl, they lost Frank Reich, and the offense took a nosedive after that. So that just seems to be a Philly thing. They have trouble replacing coordinators, or at least they don't do it right the first time. But I think everyone, even people that hate Philly, can agree Pachulo's got to go. And until Sirianni mans up and gets rid of him, the offense will continue to struggle, and you might be a one and done in the playoffs if your offense is this unreliable.
Doc?
Did anyone see coming out of this weekend that the Chicago Bears will be the number 1 seed in the NFC?
No?
I didn't think so, because I thought the Rams were going to beat the Panthers, but here we are. First and foremost, congratulations to the Chicago Bears, not just for this game, but for their entire season. They're 9-3 and the number 1 seed in the NFC. So congrats to them. Caleb Williams, I agree that he had a bad game, but I still think he played a little bit better than Jalen Hurts, only because of the tush-push fumble. Outside of that, I think he had a pretty game. Lower than 50% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He could play a lot better. I think he will play a lot better for the next game. DeAndre Swift, have a day. He had a good day. That Eagles defense played well for the most part. I thought Caleb Williams was going to have a day throwing the ball, because I thought the back end of the defense was a little hobbled, but I was shocked to see how productive they were going to be and how often inaccurate Caleb Williams was going to be. And Jalen Carter is Jalen Carter, so of course they were going to apply pressure from the front seven. I'm sick and tired of saying I want this offense to do more for the Eagles, and I'm sick and tired of them not doing more. I think it is about time they address this OC coordinator issue. If not this season, then because of how late in the season it is, then in the offseason, because Patullo is not the guy for the job. I think it's obvious now, because if it's not A.J. Brown, it's someone else. I think the offense is just not playing up to its full potential with the amount of weapons it has, and sooner or later someone's going to ask for a trade just strictly because of that. I think the Eagles are sputtering at the wrong time, because the Cowboys won, and if they won out, they could finish 10-5-1, 11-5-1. So if I'm the Eagles, I need to be very careful how this plays out, because the Cowboys could be nipping at our heels rather quickly. We're 8-4 now. We can't finish the season any less than 8-4. So very bad for the Eagles, very good for Chicago. Congrats to Chicago. Watch out, Eagles. Here comes Dallas. That's how I took it.
Yeah. And obviously we'll talk about Dallas in a little bit, but yeah, it's we could talk about Jalen Hurts and him being top 10 another time, because I'm starting to lose faith in Jalen Hurts. But like, obviously, yeah, the OC, like, that's a problem. But Jalen Hurts has not looked good himself. I will say that much. Nor has another quarterback of one of ours, that being you, Justin Tucker. We're going to talk about the Ravens and Bengals after the break, along with the other Thanksgiving Day games. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski podcast. Justin Tucker, CJ Medeiros, and Chris Kostic. Sorry if I seemed kind of zoned out from the conversation. I'm trying to go to the Pats Giants game tonight, and just tickets didn't go through, and then like just trying to figure it out. So not a game time ad, but game time may have just like blessed me. So anyways, get to our Thanksgiving games and Thanksgiving madness indeed. Bengals upset and blow out the Ravens in the return of Joe Burrow, and a couple different storylines in this, of course. Well, you know what, Tuck, you're the Ravens fan. I'll just let you have at it here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this away. First and foremost, I said I wanted the Ravens to go on a safari hunt and hunt the Cincinnati Bengals, but that's not what happened. The Bengals got hungry and they started hunting us. Oh my! The first half, abysmal. What the hell were we doing on offense? I understand that OPI was bullshit, but I have to accept that one. But that Isaiah Likely touchdown that turned out to be a touchback, and then Cincinnati gets the ball is here we come storming out of the gates. It was 3-0. We come and we score with a 28-yard Derrick Henry touchdown. Then Cincinnati punts, and then for some reason, Lamar Jackson fumbles. Not the most opportune time to fumble, but he fumbles. It happens. That one was unequivocally, deservedly his fault. He deserved that fumble. Luckily, the Ravens defense stood tall and got it to turnover on downs. And then from then on, we just get absolutely abused by the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't understand how Joseph Asai turned into Trey Hendrickson for a game, but that's exactly what happened. Ronnie Stanley got abused by him all coming off the edge. And if it wasn't him, it was Roger Rosengarten. I'm sick and tired of watching my line play abysmal and watch Lamar have to make up for it because he just can't, because he is injured, even though they won't admit it. He is injured. He is not 100%. And then for the life of me, on the opposite side of the ball, going towards the tail end of the first half, entering the rest of the game, we could not stop Joe Burrow at all. When it was third down, he got it. Jamar Chase got the first down. He wants the touchdown, he'll get the touchdown. Whenever he needs to get a completion, he'll get it. We can't get any pressure on Joe Burrow. We played abysmal. We looked like the bald-headed stepchildren, and we were getting them. I cannot believe what the hell I saw on Thursday night. I was having a good day. I was eating food. I was having a great Thanksgiving dinner. I felt like I had to throw up after that game because, oh my God, 5 turnovers. 5. I'm not going to lie, that Lamar Jackson fumbled the second time, that was bullshit, but I'm not even going to get into that. I just have to eat it because we didn't deserve to win that game. We deserved the ass whooping we got on Thanksgiving night. We had an opportunity to have a game in hand over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do not care what happened to Pittsburgh against the Buffalo Bills. We should have won against Cincinnati. That's not what happened. They came up to Baltimore and kicked our ass. That's just how it is. And 32-14 is not what it looked like. It looked worse than that. We deserved that ass whooping. We got that ass whooping. Something needs to happen with our line because, oh my God, we're getting pushed back more than Stephen A's hairline. Oh my God, this is abysmal. I can't stand watching us play on offense. And then our defense is so inconsistent. One moment we can stop them on turnover on downs when they're trying to go for a touchdown. The next moment, Kyle Hamilton can't cover a tight end. I think that was just a great play, but still, And then number 80 goes down for a streaking route for a touchdown. And it's like we can't cover anybody all of a sudden. I know Nate Wiggins went down injured, but still, we had Marlon Humphrey and Chidobe Awuzie has been playing quite well. I was like, we suck right now on both ways. Just watching that game was abysmal. And then somehow Samaje Perine fumbles the ball and we get the ball back. Do nothing with it. Because why would we do anything with it? Just all in all, abysmal game. I don't care what happened against the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers. Quite frankly, we were lucky. And I don't know how we're still division leaders, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Because if we do not win this game coming up Sunday, we will no longer be division leaders. And it'll be it'll just be worse from here on out. If we're trying to make the playoffs, we have to win out. That's just the name of the game right now. And oh my God, I can't stand looking at the Ravens team right now. I put my jersey away because I can't stand looking at them. Just bad all around. This might be their worst game of the season. It might be. Just not because they didn't just get blown out. It's because of who they got blown out to. This felt worse than the 44-10 against Houston because at least I knew we were supposed to lose that game, but this one we were supposed to win, and then we got our ass kicked. Just take it away, guys. Take it away.
Yeah. No, the Ravens are in a pretty bad spot to say the least. I think that may just be an understatement. I mean, and Lamar's been looking like he's been JJ McCarthy bad recently too, to say the least. And when you look at his numbers, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown pass in his last 4 games. And since the Miami game, he hasn't been over 60% completion percentage at all. CJ.
You know, I got to agree with Tuck, specifically when he said that he doesn't think Lamar is healthy. I thought he was, but he might have re-aggravated whatever was bothering him because he just doesn't look right. I mean, his mechanics are off. He's more skittish in the pocket. Like, his throws are all cattywampus. Like, I don't understand. I do definitely believe now that Tuck's laid it out, that he's not playing healthy. And I think the only reason he's out there on the field when he probably shouldn't be is because the AFC North is all screwy, and the Bengals Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, mostly in this case the Ravens. The Ravens know that it's wide open, and you could get it. But the worst part is, even though your defense, gave up 32 points, ironically, you weren't that terrible. The red zone, right? The Bengals got into the red zone 6 times and only got a touchdown once. Most of their points came through field goals. Evan McPherson went 6 for 6. And they only scored 2 touchdowns, which has got to make it more infuriating, especially because why did it go this bad? Even though the Ravens did turn over the ball, what was it, like 5 times?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it was also the Bengals just dominated time of possession. Bengals had the ball for 38 minutes and 46 seconds. The Ravens had it for 21 minutes and 14 seconds. They also went 8 of 19 on 3rd down, whereas the Ravens went 3 of 10. And when I look at this and I see the Ravens team, struggling real time, instead of looking like hunters on the safari, they instead look like that stupid unattended kid that falls into the tiger enclosure at the zoo, and the tiger's like, oh boy, a new chew toy. So can we fire Harbaugh yet? Can we please admit it? I have been saying this for years. I have said he's an overrated bum, and I sure do love being right. I'm sorry. Like, I just think it's over. Like, I even with, I know whenever the Ravens suck, Harbaugh can go to ownership and say, oh, but injuries. Also, I have a ring. You guys weren't winning when Lamar was healthy. Like, I mean, remember week 1? You didn't win that. I mean, Lamar's on the field and you're not winning, even if he's banged up. So at what point do we say, excuse me, Coach Harbaugh, would you kindly cut the shit? Honestly, I just think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. And Lamar needs a coach that can actually maximize his abilities. Because while I will give Harbaugh some credit that he has evolved, I don't think he's evolved enough. He's still very much a dink and dunk coach that still loves his tight ends in the flat, power running game. Like, he hasn't evolved from Joe Flacco. He still hasn't. Lamar can mask a lot of it, but Lamar needs a coach that can play up to his strengths. And for the love of God, Ravens defense has got to get rid of Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator. And until they make those coaching changes, which honestly I don't think they will, because in Baltimore nothing ever happens, then yeah, we might just be looking at more of the same. You might make the playoffs, though, because Pittsburgh's even worse. And the Bengals, I saw this was on the NFL Network or NFL apps playoff picture thing. I think the Bengals only have like a 2% shot anyway.
They're trying to go 9-8, and that's not happening.
The Bengals would also have to run the table, and they have to play the Ravens again. They got the Bills next week.
Yeah.
And then
the Bengals, like, they're good with Burrow, even if they get Higgins back. They're not really a run the table team.
Yeah. Like Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. That's the rest of their schedule. So it's unlikely they would run the table in this case. But yeah, Ravens are weird right now. Not good. Not good. I guess we're just gonna go backwards at this point in terms of Thanksgiving. Cowboys win another big game, this time against the Chiefs. And it's weird. Like, Cowboys are just finally starting to figure it out. Or they've been figuring it out, really. Dak Prescott threw the interception on the first drive and then was almost perfect afterwards. And this was a game where Patrick Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns in this game. But, like, Dak, like I said, after the first interception was perfect, defense starting to figure it out. And there was an article that came out too that was talking about, like, especially with the emergence of Quentin Williams, and apparently Jerry Jones wanted to trade Micah Parsons to the Jets for Quentin Williams for and 2 first-round picks, but obviously ended up going with the Packers at that point. But like, this is a guy that Jerry Jones wanted all along, and here he is dominating. Or being a big part of the defense. So, especially, and you look at the NFC East right now, like we were saying with the Eagles, Cowboys are coming. They're starting to nip at the heels of the Eagles at the moment. And looking at the playoff standings right now, we'll talk about the Lions, but Lions are the first team out. Cowboys are in that 9 spot in front of the Panthers at the moment. Right, basically right now it's between the Panthers, the Cowboys, and the Lions. So those are really the only 3 teams that are in the hunt at this point in time in the NFC. So Cowboys are right there in it. Tuck, your thoughts?
The NFC should be very worried about this Dallas Cowboys team getting into the playoffs. I'm not talking about trade deadline Dallas Cowboys. I'm talking about this specific team. After they lost to the Denver Broncos, they added Quentin Williams to our already decent D-line along with Kenny Clark. Once you added those 2, that became a problem because now you can't really give one-on-ones to the edge players. Now they also added Luke Wilson, a good quality linebacker that can make plays, along next to Deshaun over number 0. I don't know his
Marvion Overshown.
That's what I thought. I just didn't want to say it wrong. Overshown. He is also back from injury. Now that they have 2 linebackers that can play together and are quality linebackers, that defense is playing better. And now Deron Bland is playing like his old self, playing tight coverage and isn't giving up much, unlike the first 8 games of the season. Now that defense is actually causing problems for people. I know Patrick Mahomes threw for 4 touchdowns, but that did not show the entirety of the game. He looked pressured. He looked hammered. He got hit a lot, and they weren't able to move the ball as effectively as they thought they would, especially come off the game against Indianapolis. Kareem Hunt did not have the game he had last week, that's for sure. And Rashid Rice looked good, but not as good as he did last week, even though he did have that touchdown. He did have that touchdown on the first possession. For the most part, they locked it down. They didn't lock it down, but they kept the game close. And then Dak Prescott on offense went from, oh my God, here we go again from Dak in the first possession to, oh my God, Dak is looking good out here. He was just dicing up that Kansas City defense. He knew the hot routes. He knew when the blitz were coming. He threw it to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had a day. George Pickens made a couple of huge plays for them. And they just simply outplayed this Kansas City Chiefs mostly from start to finish. They were able to overcome the turnover. They were able to stop Patrick Mahomes, even though Patrick Mahomes got a little magic coming on late in the fourth. Don't know how he does it, but he does. And then they were able to come out with the W. They earned that W. They deserved that W. And they were able to come out with it in the end with that slant that George Pickens was constantly beating Justin Watson with. All in all, this was a good game from Dallas. Their next game is Detroit, I believe. If they win that game,
you'd be correct.
If they are able to beat Detroit, and trust me, Detroit does not want to see Dallas right now. But if they're able to beat Detroit, watch out for Dallas, because the rest of the games are extremely winnable for them. And I could see them making the playoffs with the record that they have. This is not a good time to be an opponent of the Dallas Cowboys. That defense is getting healthier and it's getting better by the game. And that offense is looking fearful, because you do not want to face George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and then have Javonte Williams have like a 5-yard gain. And Dak Prescott playing the way that he's playing, watch out for Dallas. Congrats.
Yeah, and that game against the Lions on Thursday Night Football in Detroit.
Oh,
that's going to be a fun one to recap on Thursday. CJ.
You know, the Cowboys, man, for me, it's all about how the game ended. And especially at the end, the Cowboys won the game, but the Chiefs also lost. Obviously, I do think this was more the Cowboys winning. But if you're the Chiefs, you saw something very scary. Mahomes had a good game. Granted, he had a lot of really bad throws that his receivers are still able to come down with. Mahomes got bailed out a lot. But the problem was, do you know what we saw in that game that should terrify Chiefs fans? We saw the long-awaited return of Eagles Andy Reid. Do you know how I knew we were seeing Eagles Andy Reid? When the 2-minute warning came and the Chiefs had no timeouts. And that was one of the things that had hurt Andy Reid forever as a head coach, was that his game management was among the worst in the league. And with Mahomes, it got better. But for me, it just felt like Kansas City panicked, which is weird, that they have always had this air of arrogance and, dare I say, entitlement to them. So to see them panicking, I did not have on my 2025 bingo card. I just didn't, you know? And then, but like I said, they had blown through all of their timeouts to get to the 2-minute warning. And then since then, Dallas just ran out the clock. I don't think I've ever seen, not since his Philly days, Andy Reid manage the time that poorly.
Well,
we're always talking
CJ,
about his
what? Sorry to interrupt, but they were calling the timeouts after the 3.5-minute mark on the Cowboys' last drive. I don't know if you've noticed, but strategy recently in much recent years has been to start calling timeouts before that 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I know that's the strategy. I know it's what the analytics say, but I've said before, I'll say it again. I don't care. I think the analytics are wrong. Case in point, the Kansas City Chiefs just lost. And that's what Andy Reid did when he's in
Well,
Philly.
I don't think it really
be
makes
like, oh
much
yeah, well, I'm
difference
Chris
at that point.
Kostic and I disagree. Okay, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just saying, like, that's what he did in the twilight years of Philly. And look what happened. It's like, oh yeah, you started calling them around the 3.5 minute mark. And look what happened. The Cowboys never gave the ball back. You couldn't get off the field because when you have no timeouts past the 2-minute warning and you're on defense, the other team just drains the clock. And that's exactly what happened. But as for Dallas,
I just like I'm not even saying like you're wrong about Andy Reid, like Eagles Andy Reid. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just feel like this is more of a poor example.
Okay, well, have you considered hopping off my dick about it?
No,
No. You're hosting. It's not your time to fucking talk yet.
All right, sorry.
No, because you're sounding a lot like Adam. Jesus Christ. Like, look. No.
I just sorry that I wanted to be like have a conversation about this.
No. You don't want to have a conversation.
Podcast. We can have differing opinions and arguments about it.
All right, yeah, okay, but still, my point is the analytics are still wrong. Like, it's like, oh, the analytics say this. You're like, well, that's the strategy now. The teams are doing this. Yeah, and look how well that worked.
I don't even think it's the analytics at that point.
Well,
it's
you're just
more
saying that that's what the strategy is now. You're like, oh, well, the strategy
it is like because
and look what happened.
Teams would rather have more time on the clock than they would timeouts. Like Brady even said it. He would rather have 30 seconds and no timeouts than like 15.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. Look, don't get me wrong. That's a real good use of the appeal to authority fallacy, but the Chiefs still lost, so clearly it didn't work. I'm just saying, though, but as for the Cowboys, before I was interrupted, was just that, like, you actually don't want to see these Cowboys, and I agree with Tuck. I do. You really do not want to see them, and which is weird, you know. We've always said, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They always lose in January. But this team feels different. And something that I want to say as tactfully as possible, I definitely think they're rallying for Marshawn Kneeland. You know, they have his jersey hang up at the side of this game. When teams lose a teammate, that impacts them. That impacts them hard. And they've been playing harder, faster, and stronger ever since his unfortunate passing. And they've really been able to rally for him. And that's where I think a lot of their extra juices come from. But if it works, it works. Once again, rest in peace to Marshawn Kneeland. But the Cowboys, that tragedy's got them seeing red.
Yeah, I agree with all of you on the Cowboys. Like this is probably one of the we were having a short conversation about this before the show, CJ and I, but like there's not really a team that you can say is like the best team in the league right now, right? Like, and that's case in point with how the Broncos played, how the Eagles played, Chiefs all year, but like the Bills, how they've been playing in recent weeks. There's not a clear, like even the Packers, the Bears, like this was just their first big win. Like there's not a clear-cut best team in the league, but there are teams like the Cowboys right now where you do not want to be in their path. All right. Detroit and Green Bay. Love Toyotathon is here. That's really the best way to say it, because the Packers were unstoppable in this game. They got the win 31-24. Jordan Love, 18 for 30, 4 touchdowns, 234 yards. And something about Jordan Love in Detroit on Thanksgiving, because he did this not too long, a couple years ago, on same time on Thanksgiving, and made a muck of the Detroit defense. And I mean, who knows? Maybe this defense is suffering a little bit without Aaron Glenn. I don't know, but fact of the matter is the Lions are 7-5 and are on the outside looking into the playoffs. Yeah. And of course, a lot, like when you look at this game and a lot of Dan Campbell games, you know, it was a big win or live or die by the fourth down decision, right? And there was a few of these, right, where, they're going to go for it. It's 4th and 2 in opponent territory. You're going for it. But, and you guys know, I'm a big proponent of going for it. Don't be a pussy. Go for it. If you like what you have, go for it. And, there was one time where the Lions probably should have just kicked for 3 when they were down 10. There was another where they had the play call and just didn't execute, which, that happens. But that was obviously pretty crucial in this game, was the lack of fourth down conversions, or maybe too many times going for it on fourth down, for that matter. Ended up going 0 for 2 on said fourth downs. So, anyways, Packers. Where do we see the Packers at this point now? Because Love didn't have the greatest game last week. Toyotathon is here, and now he shows out again. Is this another case of Packers are getting hot during Toyotathon because of Jordan Love, or maybe we see the opposite? CJ, we'll start with you.
It's Toyotathon. That's all there is to it. And to do it against the Lions, who, say what you will about their struggles this season, they are a division opponent, and we've all, I think, pretty much accepted that anything can happen in a division game. And I think this proved it. I do. And Jordan Love, I'm sorry. I don't care how big his contract is. I still think the jury's still out on him. I have no idea what to make of the Packers. I still don't. I think they're good. I think they can win a playoff game, but they are so wildly inconsistent. One day the defense is nails. The next day it's getting gashed. One day Jordan Love looks like his purple counterpart in J.J. McCarthy, and the next day looks like the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. Yesterday was the last game, I should say, was the latter. And honestly, they just have to find some consistency. And they've shown they can string wins together, but if they get hot, they're going to be scary. And I think because it's Toyotathon, that's what we're going to be looking at right now. And I can't wait for them to match up against the Bears. Now, as for the Lions, Chris, it's bad when even you are saying, maybe sometimes you just kick. Because, you're a big believer going for it on fourth down. But what happens when it stops working? What happens when your game plan, sometimes you're on offense, sometimes it's not flowing. It needs to flow. What happens when the plays aren't coming to you and you're more so forcing it? That's what we're looking at for the Lions. I don't know why they're sputtering right now. The Lions are just, like I said, they're just sputtering. That's what it is. Their aggression is literally eating themselves. Their aggression is just eating them alive. That's what the problem is. And there are times where I don't give a shit if the analytics say do this. Counterpoint, if you don't make it, because they're not even going for on 4th and 1, they were going for on 4th and medium. If you miss on a 4th and medium, you are giving your opponents the ball in really good territory, and you could turn a 2-score game into a 3-score game. Sometimes there's something to be said for cutting it down to 1 score, especially look, I don't mind going for it inside the opponent's 25, but even if you're in no man's land where it's too short for a punt, too long for a field goal, sometimes you just got to punt. Because if you miss, congrats, the opponents have the ball on either the 50 or their own 45, and you just need 20 yards to be in field goal range. Sometimes, you just take the points.
Yeah.
And the Lions just, ever since I'm sorry, I just want to say one more thing. Ever since we've been children, sometimes when parents impart their wisdom, one of the things you'll hear is that you need to learn to pick your battles, right? That's what I think the Lions have to do. You have to get better at picking your battles. So
yeah. I think especially when you look at the second fourth down that they went for with about 3 minutes left in the game. You're down 10 or 4 minutes left in the game. You're down 10. Like, you're going to need a touchdown anyways at some point. You may as well just get the 3. And the first one being kind of to your point, CJ, ball on the other half of the 50, like I think it was on the Green Bay, like 48 or something. It was 4th and 5, like just punt it at that point, like get the field position. Tuck, your thoughts?
Oh, what a game. I thought it was a very good game. I thought
It was a good game.
I thought it got close at times. I thought it got like palms got sweaty. And you could really tell on one of those 4th down plays because Jameson Williams really dropped a 4th down conversion that could have been a touchdown. Instead, is going Packers the other way. So sometimes I understand why you guys want him to like settle either punt or go for the field goal. But other times it's like bad luck has really been going their way. Like one of their first plays, they lose Amon-Ra St. Brown on a run play, not even on a passing play. They lose him on a run play. And so they're already starting behind the 8 ball here. And I know they have enough weapons to like make up for that, but not enough to like really compete, I thought. They kept the game close, but in the end, I felt like they really needed Amon-Ra St. Brown to really get that offense going because it wouldn't be Jahmyr Gibbs because the Packers have played Jahmyr Gibbs well this whole season. They held him around to the same amount of yards they held him to the first game, so it was going to have to be someone else to step up. Jameson Williams did step up for the most part, but not enough to where it was like it got them the job done. Neither did Isaac Tesla, but I did like seeing him play. I did enjoy seeing him catch that touchdown pass. Jordan Love and the Packers played good. Micah Parsons and that defense played good as well. He came on, especially in that 4th quarter. They couldn't stop him. And then Jordan Love threw like a long touchdown pass to Christian Watson. I was like, ooh, this game is almost getting out of hand here. But then Detroit answered back and was like, here they come. So all in all, it came down to the 4th down where if the Packers got it, the game is over. If they didn't get it, the Lions get the ball back. Best man on best man, Christian Watson versus Brian Branch. And Christian Watson made an insane catch on Brian Branch. There was nothing Brian Branch could do about it except just accept the defeat at that point. All in all, good game from Jordan Love. Great game from Christian Watson. Phenomenal game for the Packers offense. Good game for the Packers defense. A decent game from the Lions overall. They just couldn't get the job done in the end. They just couldn't hang on. And I do think some of those 4th down calls may have cost them, both by design and by strictly unfortunate events by like Jameson Williams dropping the ball. So all in all, very unfortunate, but what's more unfortunate is what's going to happen Thursday if they lose.
Yeah, because at that point, then the Cowboys bounce over them for in the Hunt area. Granted, they still need like these teams still need help from everyone else to even scratch a playoff spot. But like at this point of the season, like we were just saying, like at this point, it's not who's the best team in the league. It's who would you rather face right now at this rate, because there's no clear cut like best team in the league right now.
No.
Also, for what it's worth, since you were talking about playoff spots, right? I'm on the NFL website for the playoff picture. The Cowboys still only have a 16% shot to make it. The Lions are down to 42, and the Panthers, we mentioned, are also at 16.
It's crazy. I mean, how many games back are the Cowboys now to the Eagles?
Eagles are 8-4. Cowboys are 6-5. So it's that 2.5, 1.5.
I would consider that 1.5. I would consider that 1.5 because of the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True.
All right. The tiebreaker being the literal tie. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll talk about Panthers-Rams. Panthers getting the upset against the Rams. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
All right, let's get into this game. Panthers 10.5-point underdogs against the Rams this week. and they get the win 31-28. Talk about a cover. Talk about covering. But instead of covering, you just win. You just freaking win. What are the Panthers? What are the Panthers? They're 7-6 right now. We were just saying right before we took a break that Panthers are, what was it, 16% you said?
Mm-hmm.
16% chance to make a playoff spot. And they're in the NFC South. And, they're nipping on the Bucs' heels right now. And it's really just a matter of if they can get the Bucs to lose a couple more games, maybe. And the Panthers still have to play the Bucs as well. They're right there. I don't want to give up on the Panthers, but Jesus Christ, week in and week out, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I just don't. This defense steps up. It makes plays. And then the next week, the offense isn't even there to do anything. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I will say this. I think the Panthers have finally figured out their duo backfield in terms of Hubbard and Dowdle. And we're CJ and I were talking about this prior to. It's one of those things where, Hubbard goes down, Dowdle takes over the starting spot after Hubbard seemed like he was going to be the bell cow back for Carolina for the time being. But, of course, Dowdle steps up. He has a couple 200-yard games. He starts going bananas, and it's like, all right, Dowdle's the number one guy. But I think this game really just reaffirms, Carolina has some solid weapons. They do. Jalen Coker has been good. Shout out Holy Cross. Ted McMillan only had 2 targets, but 43-yard touchdown when it mattered the most. That was a huge 13.3 fantasy points right there. I'll tell you that much. Trevor Etienne, just a rookie, but you never know. Tommy Tremble has been a solid tight end. Xavier Legette, I still don't know about Xavier Legette right now, but this is Panthers team they have something cooking, but they just can't make the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Tuck, we'll start with you.
Just when you think I'm out of them, they pull me right back in. How the hell do they lose to the 49ers and then somehow, some way beat the Rams? I need answers. How the hell were they able to get Matt Stafford to commit an interception after going this long? Two. How the hell does Bryce Young, looking average on Monday Night Football, to a stud that Sunday afternoon? I don't know how. They might be the best tease in the NFL right now because they give you just enough to believe, but they don't do just enough to make you commit fully. They're like, I want to see something out of them. And then you see something, and then you try to commit, and then they break your heart. And it's like, ugh. Oh, I think this team has a chance to go to the playoffs, not because of their play, just because of how bad the Bucs are right now due to injuries and that. It's rough. I think they're fairly good, but they're just inconsistent. If they were just consistent, I'd trust them more, but I'm not sure about the Panthers. Even though this is a very good one, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure if it's the Panthers winning or just the Rams losing it. I'm not sure. I'm like, So I'm gonna have to see about that. But all in all, this is a good victory for the Panthers to stay with the Buccaneers to beat the Cardinals. I think this is a good race to look forward to. I think they have the chance to be NFC South champions if the Bucs can't stay healthy, which they've given me no reason to think they can. And all in all, good one for them. Rams, unfortunately, you guys are no longer the number 1 seed. Move out the way. Chicago's now number 1. You guys are now number 2. I did not expect them to lose, but now that they're here, it's kind of like get used to it. And I'm not sure if they want to. If Dallas makes the playoffs as the 7th seed, I don't think they want to see Dallas at all. Like at all. That's going to be a rough matchup. If I was them, I'd be very careful No, because they can't afford to lose any more games if they want to get the number 1 seed. So, great job, Panthers. Bad job, Rams. Look out, because this could get worse for them. Hopefully not.
100%. It could. It could. You never know. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like goes back to what we were just saying before the break. Rams are another team that, you would think they're one of the best teams in the league, and then they have a weird one like this.
Mhm.
CJ.
Oh my God. I think when predicting upsets, I don't think anybody had this predicted. To the one person who took Panthers money line, congratulations, you're rich now. But for the rest of us, what the hell was that? Matt Stafford had 2 interceptions going into this game, and then he threw 2. He doubled it. How does one do that? And the Panthers, like I said, they're doing this weird cycle where they beat a really good team and Bryce Young plays really well and the defense clutches up. Then they have to play a team that they should be, or at least should be competitive against, and they get steamrolled. And then, then it's like, okay, they're not legit. Then they beat a good team, and it's just like, what the hell are they? And I've said before, I'll say it again, they are, in some capacity, the NFC equivalent of the Jaguars, where you have no idea what you're going to get from them week to week. Is Bryce Young good? Can he be the face of a franchise? Is he a bust? Is he just a game manager? The answer varies depending on the day. Is the defense overrated? Is it a sneaky good unit? I wouldn't know. Like, is the offense powerful? Is it overrated? We don't know. What are the Panthers? It's just every week is a grab bag. They have the pieces there. They just have to put it together. And as for the Rams, unfortunately, you're not going to like this, and you're all probably going to jump down my throat on this, but whatever. I think they needed to lose this game. I think they needed a loss. And a lot of these teams that go on win streaks, at some point, I think they need a loss kind of to ground them a bit, you know? And then we see this happen all the time. Like we said about Kansas City last year, where they're just getting 1-score victory after 1-score victory, and then they lose to the Bills, and they hunker down and really play well the rest of the season. Of course, it didn't translate to a Super Bowl win, but you know what I mean, right? You gotta, losing, you have to know how to lose. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is something that I've heard. Obviously you don't want to lose, but you also need to know how. You can't get down on yourselves, because we've seen this before. There are teams that go on. I'm a Pats fan. It's happened to New England a few times, where they go on an insane winning streak. They get punched in the mouth, and then they get glum. They get down on themselves. The energy leaves the locker room. They just curl up into a ball. How do you avoid that if you're the Rams? That's the thing. You have to know how to win, but you also have to know how to lose. And I think the Rams, this is a teaching moment. There's a lot you can learn from it. I think they're going to double down. They're going to put belt to ass probably the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Rams by any sense. Like, obviously, you want to be able to make sure that this doesn't accumulate to more losses. And, to your point, right? Like, this is a loss that they need. I'll go a step further. Like, not even that this is a loss that they need, but like, I think we also just forget that how hard it is to even get to 13, 14, 15 wins. I'm not even going to say 16, because there's only been very, very few teams have even gotten 16 wins. So, this is like, you're not going to win every single game, and that's why it's any given Sunday at that point. But yeah, if you want to point out a loss that is like, hey, this is a loss that we needed, get back, like, as CJ's, sure, a teaching moment. And Sean McVay is the type of guy that's going to be able to rally his guys for next week. And looking at the Rams' upcoming schedule, Cardinals next week, and then they got the Lions, Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, Falcons, Cardinals. And that Seahawks game's in Seattle as well. All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on from that game or no?
No, not really.
All right. We'll step aside when we come back. Well, it'll be CJ and Tuck here because I will be at the Pats Giants Monday Night Football game, which Tuck and CJ will be recapping for you guys, along with Week 13 top 3, bottom 3. Good luck tonight, guys, or for part 2 of this episode, essentially.
Yep. Here's hoping New England wins.
Yeah,
It's a trap game, but whatever.
Please let New England win. Please.
Stop.
For Chris's sake.
For my sake.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
guys can't lose, can you?
No, we
You guys
can't.
go down to number 2.
We
We
could,
are
but I
number
might just gouge my eyes out if we do.
Oh, stop.
No,
Look,
Chris,
I'm
don't
not-
gouge your eyes
look,
out.
I'm
Then
not
I have
gonna-
to
I'm not
upload
gonna-
everything all the time, and I don't want to do that.
Look, I'm not gonna be the go full CJ right now and have a freaking anxiety attack over the game, and the game hasn't even started. But I will start freaking out in the fourth quarter, probably, depending on what's going on. I'll give you that. All right.
Best
Tuck
of
and
luck.
CJ with the recap of Monday Night Football in Week 13, top 3, bottom 3. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
It may not have always showed it in the stat sheet, but you can see him making throws when he needs to make the throws.
Back-to-back games where he has 3 touchdowns. Someone's got to get that 6 or 7 spot.
He's an elite wide receiver as a rookie.
Truly a lose-lose scenario for both sides.
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski podcast, powered by Power 88 Dean Radio and Secret Weapon Consulting. It's your boy CJ Medeiros taking over for my good friend Chris Kostic, who's actually at the Monday Night Football game, Pats Giants. And with me, of course, everyone's favorite Ravens fan, Justin Tucker, the good Justin Tucker, of course. And let's get right to brass tacks. Patriots put belt to ass this game against the New York Giants, crushing them 33-15. Patriots now advance to 11-2 on the season. And first team 11-2. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. Thoughts on the game, Tuck? I'll kick it off to you first.
I thought this was going to be a game closer than it was, because at first it was really chippy. It was really chippy out there. A couple of back and forths, and then Jackson Dart got hit down the sideline. Big hit, by the way. Oh, and then it got chippy with Theo Johnson, the tight end, and back and forth. I was like, oh, okay, this could be a game here. But then they get stopped because that 15-yard penalty. So instead of 3rd and 1, it's now 3rd and 16. And now they have to punt. And then Marcus Jones had that punt return touchdown. I was like, oh, this actually might get away from them if they're not careful. And then the Giants, instead of kicking, they actually stubbed their toe. Young Hoku stubbed his toe.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. It's just been a bad year for him. I think that's just what it is. Kickers go through it every once in a while, but stubbing your toe like that on national television, it's not a good look. And then the Patriots go right down the field, and Drake May throws that beautiful touchdown pass to score. And it's just from there. It goes from like could be 10-17 to now, 7-24. And it's like, here they go. It's like the Giants are not a bad team. They just make bad mistakes, and they can't come back from bad mistakes against good teams like the Patriots. So it just snowballs from there. And then on a kickoff return, Gunner gets injured by a nasty hit by Ellis. He's been making hits left and right this game. He was making hits. And then he fumbles the ball, even though he got knocked out. Glad to see him get back on his feet, but knocked out. And then the Giants score a field goal, and then it goes into half. And that was basically the game. The Giants scored to make it like a 2-score game, but by that point, the game was over. I didn't see them making a comeback and win. Drake May draking it all over the field. Congratulations. He looked like a stud. He completed like 70 or 80% completion percentage, multiple touchdowns. He was a good old game. Javon Henderson had that big run near the end of this was an all-out complete decimation by the Patriots. and they look like the true best team in the whole AFC from top to bottom, the most well-rounded team in the AFC, if I had to say so.
I know you're a Ravens fan. That hurt you, but I appreciate it. I do. That doesn't go unappreciated.
Yeah.
So for me, I think this kind of game is what the Patriots needed. See, ever since they played the Atlanta Falcons, every game except for the Jets game has been like a down to the wire nail biter. Maybe except for Tampa. That was a garbage time TD. That doesn't count worth crap. So Falcons was a nail biter. Bucks was chippy. Bengals was needlessly close. The Jets, they beat the Jets by 2 scores, so that's cool. But this was the game they need, just an utter stomping from start to finish. Pats, Giants didn't make it a 2-score game. Pats got the field goal to make it a 3-score game. And that was pretty much all she wrote. You know what the worst part is? They could have been better. New England in the second half started playing conservative, trying to run out the clock, something I personally disagreed with. And the worst part, Drake May's stats should have been even better. They had a touchdown taken away on a really bad illegal shift call where even the announcer said the 75 wasn't a 3-point stance. They didn't know what that was.
They were talking about 71.
And he also didn't, but they said like they didn't see it, but whatever. He should have had like 3 touchdowns over 300 yards, but that hurts me. This is like the second week in a row a ticky-tack call has, done this. But hey, a win's a win. That's my only gripe. Also, shout out to former Patriot or pros up to former Patriot Garner Olszewski. Dude got popped by Christian Ellis, the Bemidji State legend. So we love him though. And Marcus Jones had that huge return.
Mm-hmm.
He's a demon. He's worth every cent. I love him. And Drake May playing well. Henderson had a few good runs. Just a real complete win. Good team win. And great way, I think, to head into the bye week. You rest up, you get healthy, get your guys back, and then you're ready to play the Bills, and you got the Ravens after, then you got the Jets and the Dolphins to end it, I believe.
Yeah.
So once again, good win for the Pats. But for the Giants, as a Pats fan, I was worried. I saw this a trap game written all over it. And one thing that scared me the most was that the Giants defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, got canned. And for those of you out there that don't know, Bowen, I think, took 4 straight blown leads. Like the Giants would be up, and then the other team would storm back and win. This happened 4 straight times. Defensive coordinator Shane Bowen, he was a hack from week 1. I don't know why they kept him around when they canned Dable. Bowen got shown the door, so I was worried, is the defense going to be playing better? The answer is no. No, they were not. So Kafka is not the answer at interim head coach. Whoever the interim defensive coordinator is really doesn't look like the answer. So, the Giants do have a bright future, though. They're one of the scariest 2-10 teams I've ever seen in my lifetime. Dart has potential. They're missing Scattaboo. They're missing Neighbors, but I don't think they would have made that much of a difference. It was a trouncing. So, one last thing I will say. I got some advice to Jackson Dart. Buddy, be humble. Because, he kind of is his whole shtick that he's the bad boy quarterback. He's always rocking the chain, the smirk. He's cocky. He talks his trash. Buddy, you got your chain snatched on national television. Be humble. And second, for the love of God, I'm not even chirping. Learn to slide. And for those of you who don't know, this is really bad. This was a stat that Joe Buck brought up and Aikman at the game. Jackson Dart has missed 5 games this season, 2 with a concussion and 3 just because, he wasn't starting out. So even though he's missed 5 games, he is the second most hit quarterback in the league. That was going into the game. He might be number 1 now. I'm not certain. And Tuck, you saw the game just as well as I did. That defense was terrorizing him. He was scrambling around and making plays, but even when he got the ball off, New England was just whooping his ass the entire game. If he got that ball off, you could bet that someone was there to knock him down immediately after. And he scrambled out. We all saw that Christian Ellis hit where he knocked Dart into next week, where once again, perfectly legal, inbounds, no helmet. He was a runner anyway, so there could have been a helmet. So yeah, so Dart, dude, you're on like your second or third concussion this year, dude. You have so much potential. Slide, and you don't have to get it all every play. But I think that's something he's going to learn as he gets older. Please don't become Antonio Brown by your third season. Amen. Doug, you anything else to add? Sorry, I wanted a fanboy about the Pats. I don't always get to do this. I don't always host. So yeah, this is fun.
No, this is no problem. Abdul Carter, I don't know what he did this week or during the season, but whatever it is, please stop. I like to see you on the field being productive. I didn't like it that he was without like the entire first quarter. So
that was just the first drive, but New England, outside of like a run,
I swear to you,
New England
he
did a
wasn't
pretty
on
good
the
job
second.
at erasing him.
He wasn't on the second drive either. Like, I'm
He
serious.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. You're right.
They made
Kafka just
note
said
of
it was
that.
a coach's decision, but we know. I think he like missed a walkthrough, and I heard tell that he might have like slept through a meeting or something. So yeah, it's just something that rookies make stupid mistakes. It's something that I don't think is gonna be that much of a problem. I mean, sure, the Penn State in him got out, if you know, but I don't think it's world ending. I don't.
I think he'll be just fine coming in next year with a fresh start and a new head coach. But none of this stuff this season should go over to the next season.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. So now that we're done with that, it's time for, you guessed it, kids, our Week 13 top 3, bottom 3. Here we go. Kicking us off, top 3, Carolina Panthers, Green Bay Packers, and Dallas Cowboys. Panthers, that has to be an auto lock. You upset the Rams, best team in the NFC, probably best team in the NFL. And Panthers handled business. Bryce Young balling out. Defense forcing 2 Matt Stafford interceptions that game, when Stafford only had 2 picks on the entire season before that. You got to give him the love. Next, Green Bay Packers. Toyotathon is here. That means Toyotathon Jordan Love is here. 4 touchdown passes, slicing and dicing that Lions defense on Thanksgiving. Looks like that old Family Guy joke about Brian Griffin talking to some Lions and saying, shouldn't you be in Detroit losing a football game right now on Thanksgiving? Looks like that rings true again. And, of course, speaking of Thanksgiving, no Thanksgiving is complete without the Dallas Cowboys. And how about that? They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I had the Chiefs favoring going into that game because, you never know when they're going to go off. But Dak Prescott, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb said, I don't think so. Yeah, it was a good back-and-forth game, shootout. But ultimately, Dallas was able to sit on the ball at the end there for the win. Tuck, any thoughts?
I thought good all around for all of these teams. Good hard-fought victory for all of them. None of them were easy. All of them were hard-fought. The Panthers did the most considering how they disappeared against the 49ers offensively. Defensively, they showed up, but offensively, they weren't there. Decided to show up for the Rams, surprisingly, who are better than the 49ers, and somehow won the game. So congrats to the Panthers, keeping hand in hand with the division leader, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Packers showed up against the Lions. Congratulations to Toyotathon Jordan Love. And then the Cowboys, I'll say it again. They look very good on defense. They look like an absolute unit with the addition of Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson, and the rest of them. And they look like a team I don't want to see in the wild card round if they make the playoffs.
I agree. Their odds are slim according to the NFL playoff picture. But, hey, as long as your odds are above 0.01%, you're alive. Now, with every top 3, there must be a bottom 3.
Yes, there is.
And Tuck, let's rip the Band-Aid off right now. We're talking Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Minnesota Vikings. First, the Ravens. Look,
God.
I just thought it was a Pats thing that they struggle against the Bengals. But no, is the Bengals defense just good and they were fucking with us for the first
No, they're not good.
few
They're
weeks of the
not
season?
good.
Yeah. So what's going on? Because when Aaron Rodgers was playing them, granted Mason Rudolph did well, but they gave Rodgers the business. They almost beat New England, and they did beat Baltimore. So what?
They
What's
did
going on with
not
that defense?
First off, they did not give Rodgers the business until the second game where he actually got injured. The first game,
Yeah, no. But they were winning, or they were keeping up with the game until Rudolph got in. That's what I meant. In
Yeah,
that
okay,
second game, in the last 3 games they've played.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Listen, I don't know what happened in Baltimore. 5 turnovers. We knew we weren't winning the game. All of a sudden, Joe Burrow comes back. All of a sudden, he can't be sacked. He can't be. It's just one of those things where I can't stand it. It hurts because as a Patriots fan, I don't know if it's happened to you before. But something happens to your team where it feels like it's only happening to my team. I don't know why this continues week to week, and it only happens to my team.
As a Pats fan, I don't have any room to talk, but I have felt that before. Mostly 2022, 2023, and 2024. Specifically those years.
And so for some reason this year it's happening, but it's not the usual things. It's like us losing double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. That's happened this year. It's the injuries that happened. It's just every single thing that made us angry over years past is happening in one fell swoop in this season. And the Bengals game was just ridiculously out of character for us. 5 turnovers. One of them used to be a tuck rule. Now all of a sudden the tuck rule is non-existent.
It was non-existent after that season where it first got called. Dude, it's been gone for a while.
But for some reason that was a fumble. I swear to you it was an incomplete pass because his hand was still going. Whatever. I accept it. I move on. But the other turnovers, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. Irresponsible. The Ravens need to play better. I still somehow, some way, the Steelers, who we're about to talk to, ended up worse because they were the division leaders and still lost the division lead.
Yeah,
need to play better.
Well, you mentioned it. Let's bring it up. Second team, the bottom 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, kids, we're on that downward side of the Mike Tomlin. The Mike Tomlin ride here. Well, they got crushed by the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
They scored. Look, I'm not gonna lie. They started out hot, scored the first touchdown, and then the Bills said, "All right, we'll spot you 7," and then proceeded to backhand them for the next 3 3/4 quarters, or 3.5 quarters, depending on how you look at it. So, yeah, that's just really unfortunate for them. Aaron Rodgers playing with a busted up nose, not nearly as busted up as that offense is. Oh, my God. Running game went nowhere. No one outside DK Metcalf can catch, and Darnell Washington can catch a cold. And the defense got bullied by Josh Allen and James Cook. Fun fact, the Bills, I don't know what the exact number is, but the Buffalo Bills set a record for the most rushing yards by an opposing team in Pittsburgh Stadium. It used to be Heinz, now it's Acrisure. So what's going on? I hear Pittsburgh saying, our defense isn't good. That's why we're losing. To which I say, no. You have the most expensive defense in the league. Figure your shit out. Oh, my God. And even though both the Ravens and the Steelers lost, the Steelers ended up worse. So, Tuck, at least you can hang your hat on that.
I shouldn't be hanging my head on that. I shouldn't, but I have to. And they're talking about firing Mike Tomlin. Let me tell y'all something. It's not going to happen unless
probably not
loses out. It's not going to happen.
Unless I'm not going to lie to you. If the Steelers go below 500 on the season, I would not be shocked if they canned him because that's his big claim to fame. Once that's gone, then all the magic goes with it. Then it's like then his excuse of, oh, but I've never had a losing season gets crumpled up and 3-pointed into the trash can. So, final team in the bottom 3, saving the worst for last, the Minnesota Vikings, starting University of New Hampshire legend Max Brosmer. And, I know he's from technically Minnesota is where it says or University of, but come on, UNH, shout out. I didn't go there, but just New England College. You don't hear about them often. So why are they here? I'm just going to be plain. They got shut out. And we kind of have a rule on the podcast. If you get shut out, there's like an automatic spot reserved for you in the bottom 3. Even if you lose 3-0, if you get shut out, you are in the bottom 3. No ifs, ands, or buts. Brosmer somehow was worse then 9 out of 10 on Justin Jefferson's frustration scale, or 9 for short, JJ McCarthy, was worse. He had, by the way, Chris wanted me to bring this up for you guys, and he's gonna strangle me if I don't. So, Chris, if you're watching in the future, this is for you. So, the problem here is there's this thing called QB Gami that he loves, and it's I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically
I've
like
heard him talk
QB
about
stat lines that have never happened before. But Max Brosmer at 126 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. The only other time that happened was with quarterback Tommy Thompson, who was blind in one eye and stepped away from the NFL to serve for 2 years in World War II. And then the QB Gami tags Brosmer and says, "What's your excuse?" That's foul. That's absolutely foul. But then again, don't throw 4 picks in a game, and that won't happen. So yeah, that's going to do it for our top 3, bottom 3. All 3 spots well deserved. No offense, Tuck. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Actually, I lied. Sorry about that, folks. Real quick, we are going to take a gander, like I mentioned earlier, at the NFL playoff picture. Week 13's over. We're now entering week 14. Are you ready, kids? Are you sitting down? Because here we go. AFC, first, as mentioned earlier, the New England Patriots. Their odds to make the playoffs are above 99%. Second, the Denver Broncos, whose odds are at a flat 99. Third, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who unseated the Colts as a division lead. What a collapse that is. Jags at 81. Fourth, Tuck, your Baltimore Ravens at 69. So that's not ideal, but it's a nice percentage.
That's very ideal.
Yeah, it's very nice, very nice. So moving on, wild card number 5, the LA Chargers at 62%. Number 6, the Colts, who got knocked down to 70%. And then at number 7, the Bills, even though they're the 7th seed, they're at a 91%. So I think they're looking good.
Hold on, you're the 7th seed?
Yeah, the Bills are the 7th, yes. It's Patriots, Broncos, Jaguars, Ravens, Chargers, Colts, Bills. Then on the bubble, number 8, Houston Texans. They're creeping up in the AFC South as well. It's not just
They're 7-5, right?
Texans are, yes. And they got a 63% shot to make the playoffs. Number 9, your hated rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, sitting at 6-6 at a 30% chance. Once again, all these numbers and rankings are per NFL.com. And this is the big one. Number 10,
Kansas City.
The Kansas City Chiefs, who are also 6-6, at a 33%. I didn't think I've ever seen this in my life, but here we are. And the other teams that are alive, I just want to say the other teams that are alive: Dolphins, Bengals, Jets, and Browns. The highest odds are the Bengals at 2. They're what we call functionally eliminated. Moving to the NFC, it's the Bears who have the 1 seed, but they're only at a 75% shot to make the playoffs. Number 2, the LA Rams at 96. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, 94% odds. Last of the division winners, the Buccaneers at 4 with 85%. Number 5 in the with the Seahawks at 93%. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers at an 89%. And of course, 7th, bringing up the rear, the 49ers at a 92.
Oh wait, what's the Seattle Seahawks record?
93. I know, 9-3.
They could do they face the Rams again, don't they?
They do, yes. They've already faced once. So hey, revenge game at Lumen Field. You never know.
That could change.
And this is the crazy thing. Ready, Tuck? On the bubble, 8th, outside looking in, the Detroit Lions. Are you ready? Let me picture. I want you to picture this. Their odds are 43%.
Oh
wow. Then 9 Dallas Cowboys and 10 Carolina Panthers. Their odds are both 17. So they're not dead, but it's not looking good. And as for the rest, the Falcons, Vikings, and Commanders, once again, they're all their odds are less than 1%. They're alive, but they're what we call functionally eliminated.
The Vikings are eliminated. Let's just call it spades.
Probably, yeah. Mathematically, no, but they need a Christmas miracle to go their way since we are in December now. So, moving on, we had 4 teams get eliminated this week. We all know the Giants were the first, but now joining them are the New Orleans Saints, the Arizona Cardinals, the Tennessee Titans, and the Las Vegas Raiders. That's 5 teams out already, guys. Don't get eliminated. That's all I got to say. Don't get eliminated. Teams are dropping like flies now. So there you have it. That's it for real this time. That's going to do it. Tuck, any last points?
No, I'm good. I'm all set.
All righty then. That'll do it for us tonight. Thanks for listening. We have new episodes out Tuesdays and Fridays at 8 in the a.m. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and so much more. Wherever you get your podcasts, that's where we are. Also, please, if you be so kind, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, for myself, CJ Medeiros, and my good friend Justin Tucker, we will see you next week. Over and out.